All right, looks like we're live. Hello, the Watcher. How are you doing? Hey, what's up, Stavo? Glad that everyone is doing well so far. Trying to advertise these things more, so I am now sending links out on the Twitterverse. Hello, Vash. Good to see you again. Hello. How's everyone doing? You can jump into the questions if you guys would like. Just watching Chilling Tales of Sabrina. You ever watched? No, I haven't, but I have met some people named Sabrina, and Chilling Tales sounds about right. All right. Hey, everybody. How's it going? You guys are uncharacteristically quiet. Usually, we jump straight to the questions. I don't know what's going on. Maybe there's a different crowd than I'm used to. Or maybe my internet is just slow and it's not refreshing. Finals week. Yeah, boy. I had one final on Monday, one final on Wednesday, and then I have two online finals I have to take by Saturday. So the question is, do I do them tomorrow or Saturday? Oh, good to know that the internet isn't super slow. So, this is the YouTuber live stream version of an awkward silence. Should I start off with something interesting? What do I think of L Law Light? Yes, Todd, we are having another live stream. In answer to your question, Gandalf, he's an interesting character. I enjoyed him, but he's not something really worth talking about in the context of actually trying to read people. It's just he's very fantastical. I mean, Sherlock Holmes brings it to a level of impossibility anyway. So, and L just takes that idea and runs with it. It's just like, oh, impossibilities galore. Stella, did you ever realize the results of your fingernail study? Release the results of your fingernail study. I saw the video. Didn't know. Follow up. Yeah, okay. I've been getting a lot of questions about this, about the fingernail study. I never did release my findings that I got, and I never did part 2 of the study. And part 2 was supposed to be where I would bite the nails on one finger and then get a manicure on the fingers on one hand, and then the manicure on the fingernails on the other hand, and then do the same thing that I did with the month-long letting them grow out thing. But I haven't done that. I need to, but or at least do the biting of the nails. At least show that, and probably not let them grow more than like a week for that, because most people who bite their nails tend to not let them grow out. That's the whole point, is that you constantly maintain by biting. So yeah, I do need to get back to that study and finish it, or at least release what I have. If you guys want that, hit me up on Discord, and and if enough people are like, "Hey, we need the results of the study," then I will figure out the best way to do that. Okay? How do you enjoy making your podcast? It certainly was enjoyable to listen to. I've been really enjoying the podcast. We've had to take a little bit of a hiatus, unfortunately, because of schedule issues. But Mind Reader is going to be back soon. Hopefully, Logan and I will be able to record this weekend, and we're going to record ahead. We're going to record like 2, maybe 3 episodes back to back in one day, so that way we'll have a little bit of wiggle room, because he's in between jobs right now, and also me with school and everything. So we're trying to just get ahead, but we are trying to make it a weekly thing. So just keep an eye out for that. Mind Reader is not going away. How do I feel about Hercule Poirot? I really enjoy that character. I like the premise of Agatha Christie's, the way that she writes her novels, so that you give all the information so that the reader can figure it out if they're clever enough. I do like that. Hey, Get Fixed, what's up, man? Yes, we do have a Discord, Todd. Let me put the link. Oh, Observe, you're here. I just got finished with a 12-hour day work. Haha, logged in just in time to see this. I'm stoked to continue the podcast as soon as I can. Yeah, man. How do I invite people on Discord again? Invite people. Did you see the Netflix Death Note movie? I stay away from live action movies of anime. It's just, it does not need to be done. Just wondering, are you gay? No, I am very boring and straight. Although I do have this weird thing where I'm only attracted to bisexual women, but only like on a like personality level. Like obviously, straight women, there's a physical attraction there, obviously. But as far as like women that I tend to get along with and prefer like romantic relationships with, they tend to be bisexual or queer. So. Please tell me some books for Deduction. Mary Konakova's Mastermind Had to Think Like Sherlock Holmes. Ben Cardall's The Monographs. Those are 2 good ones for just deduction in general, and then ones for body language. God, I'm having a brain fart. What Everybody Is Saying by Jen Navarro. Telling Lies by Paul Ekman, Revealing Emotions, or Emotions Revealed by Paul Ekman, anything by Paul Ekman, really. The Definitive Book on Body Language by Barbara and Alan Pease. Those are all good for nonverbal communication. The Ellipsis Manual, got to shout out my boy Chase Hughes for social engineering, as well as some cold reading, profiling, and nonverbal communication. Yeah. What do you use deductions for? Well, there's a multitude of things that you can use it for. Part of it is just having it so that you can use it. So most of the deductions that I make most of the reads that I make about people are not useful per se. They're useful in the sense that it's training, right? Other ways that it can be useful, like ways that it can be specifically useful, is just as a party trick to show off. Like you're like, someone's like, "Oh, what do you see about me?" And then you know, do that, do your thing, and you impress people. Um, so it's a cool party trick. Can impress the ladies sometimes, or the guys, whatever you prefer. And you can also, going from that route, use it in mentalism. Right now, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do a stand-up comedy set that incorporates mentalism, because there's not a lot of opportunities for straight-up mentalism here where I live. So what I'm trying to do is I'm sort of trying to sneak it in with a comment of the stand-up routine, and and also I've always liked the idea of getting into stand-up, but yeah. Other than that, I mean, being able to read people, understand them better, uh, pick apart nonverbals, have a better memory, all these things that deduction is used for. I can't imagine a career path or any sort of way that you live your life in which it couldn't be useful. So the better question that I usually ask is, uh, to what is deduction useful for, is like, what is it not useful for? Just being able to more logically think, be able to have more control over your emotions, be more observant, be able to understand people better. How can that not be helpful? Right. Yeah, practical deduction. Glad that you're here. How did I learn deducing? A lot of it was trial and error, some reading. Uh, yeah, that's mainly it. There's not really a school for it. Are you going to be a detective? I don't like the idea of getting into law enforcement per se. To me, that I'm not a big fan of bureaucracy, and nor am I a big fan of academia. I think they have many of the same problems, just extrapolated in different ways. My end goal is to get into the private sector, but not necessarily as a private eye, but start a research and consultation firm into nonverbals, interrogation methodologies, investigatory methods, forensics, stuff like that. Just create a hub for people of various skill sets to come do research, to uh, increase our body of knowledge of how to fight crime, and also consult out services. So, ooh, Logan asking the big questions. What's the biggest fear you have in relation to your channel, your study, and the future of your pursuits? God, man. Uh, all right, let's unpack this. What's the biggest fear you have in relation to your channel? Okay. I don't really have a fear in relation to the channel, more like a frustration. If I had a fear, it would be in ruining my reputation going forward into the future. And luckily, I haven't really done or said anything over the 6 years or so that I've run this channel that really, um, really would be super detrimental going forward. I mean, sure, as a 14, 15-year-old kid, I made some stupid videos where I said a lot of stupid things because I didn't know what I was talking about. But part of that was the point. It was experimenting. It was branching out. It was trying something new. And I keep those early videos up for that reason, just to remind myself where I came from. Um, but yeah, like part of my fear is like as I get more of a following or whatever, you know, just saying something stupid that, because the internet never forgets. I don't know, but I think, over the years of being a YouTuber, embraced internet culture a lot more than I ever thought I would. So I don't think I really have too much of a fear of that at this point. My frustration with the channel is, numeric in Like, I mean, this live stream is running 25 concurrent viewers. Usually these run about 10, right? And the reason why it's running 25 is because I advertise it on my Twitter, which has under 100 followers, and on Discord, which has about 500 people on the Discord server, and on Facebook. And so, like, I have a YouTube subscriber number of over 66,000, right? But my average video gets about 2 to 5,000. Not too stoked about that. It would be nice if, a higher portion of my subscriber base would tune into my videos regularly. Part of that is my fault, but it's sort of a self-serving cycle. It's like, um, how much time am I willing to invest in the channel versus how much return I get per video, right? The less I invest, the less return there is for each video I do produce, but the less return there is, the less incentive I have to make a video, right? So that's the biggest frustration with the channel. Also, there's just been so much, that I've done over the years, just personally with my training and everything, that things get muddy after a while, and it's hard to know where to start again. But that's why I love the podcast that we do, Logan. That's it's a good fresh start in many ways, and it allows me to stretch my legs intellectually in ways that I've wanted to for a very, very long time. Um, so I guess I'm also afraid of, saying something stupid on the podcast, which I know we've both said stupid things that I've had to edit out already. Not stupid, incriminating things, but just like parts where we sound dumb. Mainly me, though. I edit my audio track way more than yours. But yeah. All right. What are my biggest fears for studies? Getting stuck in academia. I hate the idea of getting stuck in academia. I don't even know if I want to get a master's degree, or if after my bachelor's I want to continue my education in other ways, like getting more experience and training in criminal investigation rather than just pursuing academics. You know what I mean? So, as far as my studies are concerned, I really don't have much fear of that other than getting stuck in a system that I despise. Future pursuits, I am afraid. Uh, Getting killed wouldn't be fun. Um, anytime you go into the idea that you want to get into criminal investigation for a living, there's always the possibility that it could end poorly for your physical well-being. But that's not really a big fear. Um, I guess the biggest fear in my pursuits is just not being able to do the things that I want to do, or being put in a system that confines me to the point where I can't do the things that I feel that I need to. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question. Why are you more organized and precise with details than I am? That's from Get Fixed. I don't know that I am, man. Because I mean, you're a very technical savvy person, which requires a certain level of orderliness and a certain level of creativity too. You're certainly a very intelligent person. From my interactions with you and watching your videos and all that, you're probably very, as far as personality wise, big five. I would imagine you're both high in conscientiousness and openness. So why am I more organized and precise with details? I'd say probably linguistically, maybe I am. But you would certainly be more that way when it comes to technical matters. I just, I don't know. Part of it is I'm a sub vocalizer, so that means I think primarily with words rather than images. So like when I read, I hear a narrator in my head, and some of you are like, "Of course," and then some of you are like, "What?" Because like it's interesting. I've been listening to podcasts about this recently. Is that there's a weird 50-50 split between sub vocalizers and non sub vocalizers. And just people think in different ways. So I'm a very linguistically inclined person. I'm an auditory learner, all these things. So like I really think in words all the time, and so, but I also visually in my mind, I visually order those words. Part of that is just practice, just being orderly with how ideas work and how things flow together, and working with mind maps and concept maps and things like that, and also the memory systems. But some of that is also just my natural proclivities and probably part of my high functioning autism. Um, but yeah, not a big fan of bureaucracy. Wow, you're one of those guys. Yeah, I am. Uh, you should do an ASMR video. Your voice is soothing. Thank you. You should just put it on my podcast and go to sleep to it. Whenever I have an anxiety attack, I watch your thinking too much video and it calms me down. So thank you. Oh well, I'm glad. I'm glad that helps. I think watching that video would make my anxiety attacks worse, to be honest. How do you feel about the upcoming Detective Pikachu film? I am super stoked. Definitely going to be seeing that one. Ryan Reynolds is great, and I think the Deer Stalker has never looked better than on a Pikachu. I know you'll ruin your reputation. I mean, you're a level-headed guy. I mean, your childish channel is based upon rational thinking. Also, what's your Twitter? My Twitter handle is @Deductionist. Here, I'll put it in the comments right here. Observe. Awesome answer. I wanted to throw out a kicker for the stream. Catch you later. Early day tomorrow. Yep. I'll see you, man. Good to have you on for a little bit. Hey, what's up, EH? What do you think is the best way to get a following? Obviously, I haven't figured it out. Running 24 concurrent viewers right now. Looks like we got more people following me on the Twitterverse. Fantastic. You guys get to see updates of my doings on the channel. I don't know. Sometimes I'll post like little updates for videos I'm working on, or studies or stuff, but mainly it's just me being a prick, posting quasi anti-religious shit. That's where I get out my frustrations. Could I describe my views on internet culture? Skip. Do you think House MD was more realistic representation of deduction, not medical, but in terms of how he was so good at deducing things about others, it seemed less exaggerated than Sherlock? Yeah, I would say is more toned down, more realistic, more grounded than Sherlock, for sure. And honestly, I have limited experiences with House. I haven't watched it in such a long time, and I never like watched it all the way through. But yeah, it was a pretty grounded representation of the skill set. Yeah, fix. I feel like, brother. I love learning. I just hate being forced into this is some package to make money off of others' hopes and dreams rather than raw skill and work ethic. Yeah, could not have said it better myself, man. Aquaman drowns in Endgame. No spoilers, man. No spoilers. You cannot spoil Endgame, okay? You can't tell people that Aquaman drowns. It's like you're just gonna ruin the movie for people, man. They're gonna beat you up outside the theater. Hey, Taylor. Okay, what is your new address? Jordan, I was planning on sending you something, direction. Yeah, DM me, buddy. Euros. Holmes says, gotta go. Talk to you later, guys. Okay, bye. It was a very convincing cry. Yeah, I work on it, man. I just gotta work on it. Just have to work on the tears. I don't know what to do anymore. Yeah. What's with the title? Oh, something I said tonight several times is people do little else but talk, and it doesn't really matter what they say. Just thinking about gossip and thinking about people assuming things. I thought it would make a fun title. Do you believe your fear of saying something stupid holds you back? YouTube is inherently a personality-based website. Perhaps this fear is holding you back. I honestly, the only reason I might fear saying something stupid is because I don't feel like that holds me back. I feel like I'm more inclined to say something stupid and just run with it. And so, because of the, yeah, I gotta add the sniffle in. You got any more questions? 21 concurrent viewers right now. Do you know do you know if someone is a sociopath when you meet one? Um, well, I mean, this is a loaded question because obviously I'm only going to know the ones that I figure out are sociopaths, right? There are going to be sociopaths that I could meet and then don't realize that that they are a sociopath. So that's always a possibility. Um, trying to think of any instance where I have actively deduced if someone is a sociopath. Usually, what happens is like I'll have an idea that someone is, and then someone will tell me, "Yeah, they were diagnosed with sociopathy or psychopathy," and I'll be like, "Yeah, that makes a lot of sense." But I can't really think of a time where I was just like, "They're a sociopath." At least not with people I know, like with the research that I've done and looking into various cases or things like that, and just like, yeah, probably psychopath or sociopath or something along those lines, or but have very little real world application for that. Also, I think assuming sociopathy or psychopathy is, I feel like that can take you down a bad road if you over, I don't want to say diagnose that, but overuse that explanation for things. It starts to cheapen your analyses of people's behavior. Um, but yeah, what's up, Celeste? How's it going? Do I have any questions for the audience? Yes, I do. For all of you beautiful people out there, what would you like me to make a video on the most? Like what topics would you like an in-depth dive into? What would make you want to click on a video is what I'm asking. Other than, boobs or something like that. I think gossip has definitely become popularized through social media, news and such. That's why that's why I just deleted all my social media accounts. Too much drama. Yeah, I think drama and gossip is certainly not exclusive to internet culture. It's just a thing that is human, actually. And gossip is how societies, groups of less than 150 people organize themselves. So if you have a group of less than 150, um, you don't need any sort of government structure. You don't need unifying myths or anything like that to keep the group together. And so, because everyone knows how much they can trust everybody else through gossip alone, because 150 is about the number of people a human can have meaningful interactions with or meaningful relationships with. So gossip is certainly an evolved behavior that's actually really necessary for human survival. But certainly in modern society, it just becomes annoying because uh, most of the time we're gossiping about people that we don't have meaningful interactions with. Like if you're in a workplace, right? Gossip can actually be a really useful tool to keep everyone in check, everyone's proclivities and negative aspects and little things that they do. It keeps it all in a sort of balance. Yes, it's painful and sometimes very very messy, and sometimes gossip can certainly get out of hand. But people talking about people behind their backs is just a way that humans organize themselves. It's something that's not exclusive to the internet for sure, but I can understand wanting to get away from the internet culture just to avoid as much of that as you possibly can. But to close up that story, the um, societies or groups of human beings that exceed 150 to 200, that is where you need some sort of governmental structure, some sort of overarching universal myth that humans can latch onto, or unifying myth rather, because like you can walk down the street in during the day and not worry too much about passing by human beings that you don't know, and not have to worry that they're going to stab you to death, right? Because there's a sort of agreement, an unspoken agreement, the social contract. People assume that everyone else is cool even though they don't know them. um, if circumstances change and someone feels that the rules have changed, then things get a little bit, different. You don't walk into a biker bar on accident. It's just not a thing you do. um, or go down a dark alley when there are suspicious figures brandishing possibly knifes down that dark alley. You just don't do that, right? So, but for the most part, people all assume that they're all playing the same game in the same society because we have these. It's not necessarily that people are any better or worse than they are otherwise. It's just that people fear the consequences, and there are consequences for certain actions. And so if people think that they're going to get caught for doing something, they're just not going to do it. And the way that we've organized our society is relatively efficient at enforcing that sort of mentality, at least in many scenarios. So so how did I get on that? Gossip, yeah. All that to say that unifying myths replace gossip in groups of over 150 people. What do you think of the education system? I feel as if its foundation is conformity and regurgitation instead of creativity, which I think it should be. Well, a little bit of a problem with that. I have plenty of problems with the educational system, but I don't think creativity is the only thing that the educational system should produce in people. Now, I have a very very cynical view of school, especially like grade school. Like first and foremost, it's daycare, right? It's you have a population that needs to be productive because your economy relies on the productivity of your population. And still, most people are having kids for some reason. I can't even tell why, but for some reason, a lot of people are still having kids, and have been for a very, very long time. And so, because most men and, and most women are working these days, you just need somewhere to put the little humans for the majority of the workday, right? So there's that. Um, but obviously, school has existed long, like it has existed for a long time, and it's like, oh, we need to educate our population. But then that goes back to the productivity thing. You rely on an educated population because an educated population is productive because you get more skilled labor. If your economy relies on skilled labor, you need at least some sort of education. So yes, in that sense, the education system is incentivized to teach some level of conformity. So the question is, does school really teach you things, or is it just, are the credentials you get from a high school education, let's say, just there to show employers that, hey, you can do a thing for a long time and get through it, right? Like, if I were to tell you much about my high school biology class, I don't think I could get a lot. I certainly could not pass the exams to the degree that I passed. If I took them now, I could not pass them to the degree that I passed them then, right? Same thing with a lot of classes that I took in high school. Just you learn a bunch of things, but you don't really retain them. So that element of regurgitation isn't necessarily just to absorb knowledge. It's even worse than that. It's just to show that you can do a thing that you don't necessarily want to do for a period of time that seems unnecessary, right? And so if you can do that, you can work. So that's a cynical view of the education system. Should it just teach creativity, though? No. I think creativity is something that is lacking, but you do need functional knowledge, right? You need a functional knowledge base. I think the way that we instill the knowledge base, one, is wrong, and I think the set of knowledge that we instill is also wrong. Because we've already established that really the point is not to learn the things that they're teaching you, but maybe the things that they, so if the things that we are teaching right now aren't necessarily important down the line, then perhaps we should focus on things that are more practical for a person living, right? So maybe there should be classes in high school that teach basic life skills. Maybe there should be math classes that go on the mathematics of taxes rather than the mathematics of spaceships. Because if you look at at least in the United States, if you look at the math curriculum for high school, like they set that up during the Cold War, during the space race, like algebra, geometry, algebra 2, trigonometry, calculus, all these things. It's literal rocket science. It's literal rocket science when you put it all together. Like they were trying to make rocket scientists to make more rockets so we could win the space race, right? Maybe we don't need everyone to build rockets anymore, because obviously they haven't been, and there's plenty of opportunities in higher education to learn that level of mathematics. Or maybe there should just be more options in high school for specialization of students. You know, maybe we should have, and there are European high school systems that are more set up for specialization like that. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I feel like we should, to wrap that up with a nice, neat little bow, I feel like we should change perhaps the set of knowledge that we instill in students to be more practical and make it more choice-based for specialization. And also, I think the way that we teach certain subjects should also change. I think we teach them phenomenologically rather than, well, I feel like we teach them, yeah, phenomenologically and mechanistically rather than conceptually. So mathematics, for instance, when you're doing algebra, let's say, I just finished my college algebra class. One of the things that I really was thinking about was, hey, all we're doing basically is taking one equation and making it look like another equation, or taking an equation and just changing things around a little bit. Very rarely are you actually looking for what the variable actually is. And even when you do find it, usually it's, when you get, complicated enough, it's usually in a format that isn't necessarily like practical for your brain, right? But it's practical in a certain context. Right. Someone had to discover how to rearrange numbers in a particular way to find particular variables in a particular way, right? Why don't we teach that, right? Someone had to discover how to do all these things in math, right? Whether it was building something or designing something, or like there was some sort of engineering or some sort of like sociological or economic thing that somebody had to figure out with numbers. Right? We don't teach that. We just teach you how to do it, but we don't teach you why it works. If we teach you why it works, one, you have a better chance of remembering it because now it's contextualized. Two, you might be more motivated to learn it because it's contextualized. And three, you'll probably learn it better because now you understand not only how it works, but why. Right? So I feel like that's a fundamental problem with at least mathematical curriculum. Um, and so to me, it seems awful backwards. And like you could then say, oh, well, we use word problems in math. Yeah, but the word problems are half-assed at best. Like rate of change or rate of flow equation. Like the one of the word problems I got was calculate the rate of flow for a for like gas, a gas pump, pumping up your car with gas. Like no one's going to calculate that, but there are probably some really interesting applications of that equation. Why don't we teach that and make word problems based off of that? It's like the word problems are an afterthought. They're just like to say that we tried to teach the concept. But anyway, I've spent too much on your questions. I'm not going to show you guys my boobs. Just, I don't want to get demonetized or anything like that. Just not even a nip slip. Mm-mm. What was the most scared you've been in your life? Ugh. I've had some nasty nightmares that I've woken up from, but very rarely do I actually get actively scared. Like in my life, I guess as a kid, I had stupid fears. Like I would hide under the covers and shit. But like I don't know. I got really scared for a few nights after I watched my first zombie movies as a kid. I don't know. No actual things have really made me that afraid. It's probably because I've lived a relatively okay life because, you know, this society that we've built is relatively functioning, or at least for me. Maybe that's white privilege, but who knows? Are you familiar with the modalities of psychology? If so, which ones would you apply ascertaining personality and cognitions? I think psychoanalytic and constructivism would work well for such. I'm not a big fan of dividing it up into the modalities, like the various theories or the various like theorist collections. The, the way I've been taught psychology is that you have to incorporate them all for everything to make sense. Like every area of theories got certain things right, and a multidisciplinary approach works the best. As far as applications of psychology in deduction, I mean, there's a lot of psychological knowledge that I have that I use in deduction on a day-to-day basis. I read a lot of psychology papers and things like that. But the main psychological tool that I use in deduction is the Big Five personality test. I use that personality construction to really to profile people, and I use those personality traits as placeholders for more specific deductions about them because the personality traits are Barnum statement-y to a degree. Um, but for instance, it's very easy for me to look at a person to determine whether they're high in openness or high in conscientiousness, and based off of that, determine their political affiliation. Because people who are high in openness tend to be liberal, and people who are low in openness or high in conscientiousness tend to be conservative. So show some skin, Jordan. That'll get some views. Okay, fine. You guys can get some skin. Boom. There you go. Video on complete study of human body language. All right. We will put that on the list. Post one tweet and people can retweet it, etc., etc. Yeah. I just haven't had enough success with Twitter, the Twitterverse. You see yourself carrying your status as the leader in the YouTube deduction community into your future? I don't know. It's a nice piece of trivia that I can tell at bars. It's like, yeah, I have the largest channel in a particular subgenre on YouTube. Hey, Upper East Siders, I heard that there was gossip here, blah, blah, blah. Okay, gossip. Good evening from Montreal. Very interesting content videos, things. Oh, thank you. Barbara. This might be dumb, but can you do a video on animal body language? Actually, that's something I've been really interested in because Charles Darwin wrote a book on the expressions of man and animals. I mean, of course, he's more known for his origin of species, but there's interesting work that he did on nonverbal communication. He purported a biological, genetic, or he didn't have genetics, but a biological understanding of nonverbal communication when one psychologist at the time and social scientists were convinced that it was a social construct entirely, right? But he noticed the similarities in expressions of humans and animals. So yeah, it's actually a really interesting thing, and you can tell. I know Ben Cardall was able to tell one time that his dog needed to go to the vet based off of its nonverbal communication, and was able to get him to the vet before things got serious. And it was actually a thing that needed to be checked out. So yeah, it is a useful skill. Do a video on neurolinguistic programming. Okay, you guys want some social engineering ellipsis manual bullshit. Sounds good. Video on complete set of human body language. Okay, yeah, gotcha. Well, you consider your views if practice the real world are a bit over idealistic and practical. I do agree that school should teach the practical, but the future engineer is going to discover his love for math somehow. Sure, yeah, it is over idealistic and practical to a degree, which is why I'm not running the education system. I can poke holes in it all day, but I'm just spitballing here at the end of the day. Video on your opinion on the show House MD, amazing vids on deduction. Or here input on. Yeah, I'll have to rewatch the series. Won't watch it all the way through this time. Would a person learn better if they received an electric shock or some sort of stimulation to a part of their erogenous zone? Maybe. I'm trying to think here. I mean, that would be positive reinforcement for sure. Alternatively, you could have punitive reinforcement, where unpleasant electric shocks in response to negative behavior, and that's just social. That's just conditioning and things like classical conditioning. So yeah. I mean, anything. Yeah, it definitely would work if you're with classical conditioning. You're stimulating the individual with some positive stimuli, and associating that with something that is not directly associated with the stimuli itself, to encourage that behavior. Would a person okay, or answer that? Bro, did he just flex on us? Yes, I did. Do anyone ever feel that they might have a knack for solving crime that not in the criminal justice field seems dangerous? Yeah, there's a lot of that shit going around online, unfortunately. Shade of the Ellipsis Manual. Not at all. I love the Ellipsis Manual, and I love Chase Hughes' work. I just like picking on it. I often can see how people are feeling when I see their eyes, body language sometimes, but I focus on the eyes the most. I would broaden your scope. The eyes can only tell you so much. There's a lot of nonverbals to perceive in the eyes, for sure. If you just focus on that, you're going to get into some pseudoscience. When is the next Mind Reader podcast coming out? We are recording this weekend. Logan has been in between jobs, and I have been finishing up with the semester. So it just wasn't practical for us to record for the past few weeks. But we're gonna get back and record this weekend, and I'm gonna try and get one out after that as soon as possible. So. Every time I wear a digital watch, it was time. Interesting. The type of content I would like to see is the same as everyone else, but I would just see more of your personality shine through the video essays. You're running a channel, it's okay to joke a little. Yeah, I'll try and incorporate that more. Have you ever done a murder mystery party? No, unfortunately not. I'm not a big party person, people person, or yeah, just not a people person. Oof, we're almost an hour into this. I'm just waiting for questions at this point. I think I've gotten through the major ones. You could be the corpse and avoid people altogether. I don't know. The void seems nice sometimes. Mr. Bobby. Yeah. I guess I assume you guys are referring to the murder mystery party. But if it's my party, then I want to be the one to solve the mystery, right? What do you think about life after death? Oof. My opinions have wildly changed on this. Some days I wake up and I'm an atheist. Some days I wake up and I'm a theist. And, other days I wake up and I'm a deist. My thoughts on the matter of God, life, death, the afterlife is so inconsequential to me at this point. I don't think about it. I spent way too much of my life thinking about it. I'm assuming nothing's going to happen. If something does happen, well, fire to me, like eternal fire, seems like just a very lazy way of doing things. I don't know. It just seems like God would be more creative than just fire. Gonna burn you forever. I'm gonna avoid more controversy than that and not say anything. Yes, Prince Vegeta, I gotta make a video on the study of human body language. I'm gonna do it. I promise. I pinky promise. I pinky promise. Stop spamming. We're going to grocery store shopping and taking them out to people's cars. Any good tips for practicing deduction during this? Logan actually talked about that on our podcast. I think it was episode 2, but don't quote me on that. During one of the deduction story times, he was talking about one of the things that he was noticing while bagging groceries. The thing that he noticed was that people who wore jeans and faded jeans and work boots and who tied their bags would usually have a pickup truck and work on a farm. And he lives in farm country sort of area, so that makes sense. But if you live in a more metropolitan area and someone is tying their bags and wearing work jeans and work boots, maybe more construction or just manual labor and owns a pickup truck, right? So you notice little patterns like that. And he said that people who didn't wear the work attire of that description, but also tie their bags, probably had a Suburban. So the thing you notice patterns and things. That's one of the things you can do while bagging groceries or working in that sort of environment. And of course, you can just do general profiling, and then also you're there and you can ask people how their days are going. So you can try and figure out how their days are going, and then ask them and see what they say, right? And you can also get some nonverbal work because people are always going to say, "Oh, I'm doing fine," regardless of whether or not they're not. Like I do this just as on the customer end of things. Like the other day, I was checking out of a grocery store, and I asked the cashier how her day was going, and she was like, "It's going fantastic." And I was like, "Oof, that bad, huh?" And she chuckled a little bit, and that sort of lightened the tension. When you sort of break the facade of like people have to pretend that everything is okay, once you like let them know that it's okay if it's not okay, it sort of lightens the exchange a little bit. I've found. Um, have you tried to write a book? I've tried to write a book several times. Never panned out though. Thank you for your channel. I get a kick out of some mystery series, but not necessarily cop procedurals. Try to follow Agatha Christie with David Schutt. Well, okay. Well, glad you enjoyed the channel. Think of it this way: we're the universe trying to understand itself. That is something I like to say quite often. I think you would be murdered with an accidental bookshelf fall. I feel it would be a wrong death at your murder mystery party. Ow. Pain. Um, Recommendations for psychological profiling books. If you're looking for stuff on deduction, Ben Cardall's the monographs, Maria Konikova's Mastermind, How to Think Like Sherlock Holmes, Body Language, Joe Navarro's What Everybody's Saying, Barbara and Alan Pease's The Definitive Book on Body Language, and then anything by Dr. Paul Ekman. That'll get you a start on profiling. If you're looking at criminal profiling, a good place to wet your whistle is Mind Hunter. That's a good book. There's some problems with those profiling methodologies, but it's a good book to at least get you interested in the idea of it. What do you think about The Art of Deduction by Taz Rai? Is that the book? I've seen it, I think, but I haven't read it. What do you think about people getting herpes at Coachella? Fun times? How far do you think you could take deduction to prognosticate future moves in a game such as chess or outcomes of sporting events? Oh, God. You can really take it far in poker. That's for damn sure. And then as far as chess, it can help inform you. Like you get a feel for their play style. It's similar, like utilizing deduction in martial arts. Are you going to be able to map out every movement that a person is going to make and plan out in a full detailed plan of attack, like in the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock movies? No, you're not. You're just not. It's not going to happen, like at all. Like no, but you could still get a feel for someone's style or get an idea of how they're going to proceed based off of their stance, their levels of aggression, how big they are, what sort of style that they're actually conforming to, because all of these things play into how they're going to fight. And then you increase your reaction speed or perceived reaction speed by paying attention to moves before they become obvious, right? So like if we're in a fight, right, and I throw a punch, right, and you only notice that I'm throwing a punch when I'm right here, and you try and react, maybe block it, right, you're not gonna have as much success as if you see the little twitch in my deltoid right before I go for it, or you see the shift in my stance, right? So if you see it at the beginning, you'll have a greater period of time to allow yourself to react to it. So that's a way you can use observation and things like that in martial arts and in combat, things like that. But You're not going to do what Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes does and be able to map out exactly how the fight is going to go. It's not going to work. So you can, in chess, um, like you can get a feel for their play style, right? You can get a feel for their patterns, but you're not going to be able to figure out exactly what moves they're going to make uh, just based off of looking at them. You might get an idea of their play style from profiling them and have a better edge at the beginning of the game, right? And then as they start playing, you can pay attention to the play style and all that, just anything that a good chess player would do. Um, so yeah, as far as sporting events, I know there are old carny tricks and shit that you can do to like win horse races or things that should be probability based, but I don't pay attention to sports. It's not my thing. Are you a student? Yes, I am a university student. Uh, what type of clothing do you associate with certain people? Oh God, this is a question that deserves a very very long answer, but I'll try and give you the abridged version. Um, Wish this question had come earlier on in the live stream where I was feeling smarter. Okay, so the everybody dresses themselves, right? Nobody goes out with their mother having dressed them. At least most people, right? And so that means that they chose the clothes that they're wearing. But most likely they haven't actively thought about choosing the clothes. If they have, then there's going to be certain tells of that already. There's going to be a very image that's going to be a very image centric person, or at least in the context that you're seeing them in, this is going to be image centric. Okay, I'm going to think more about the clothes that I'm wearing if I'm going out on a date versus if I'm going to work, right? If I'm going to work, throw on a pair of pants, throw on a shirt, go to work, right? If I'm going out on, especially like a first date or a job interview or something like that, I'm going to think about it more, and the things I'm going to wear are going to be different depending on the context that I'm going to, right? So one, it's like body language, right? You determine a person's baseline, and you look for shifts in that baseline based off of and compare those shifts to the context of the conversation, and from there you can decipher what those shifts from the baseline mean. So the baseline of their clothes is going to be more relevant in a general profile of who that type of person is. For instance, I wear black, gray, and white almost exclusively. Very little color. I'm a very neutral tone inclined guy. Um, but when I was younger and more emotionally open and more gregarious and outgoing, I wore lots of reds and blues and shit like that. I would wear. Looking back, I can map out how emotionally open I was based off of whether I was wearing red or black shoes. When I was early teen, I wore red shoes almost exclusively, and I was wearing my emotions on my sleeve a lot of that time. Now I'm very facade and persona driven in my day to day life, and I wear black. So color plays a role. It's not an end all be all, but people of certain emotional or personality proclivities are drawn to certain colors because certain colors they elicit emotional responses. Blue is calming. Blue is the color of the sky, the color of water. It's, in your brain that's older than your neocortex. Water, right? That's a thing that has existed since lizard brain days. Same thing with red. Like red is the color of blood. It incites feelings of more aggression, of more passion. Um, like for like going back to the date scenario, um, like I will wear like dark maroon or something like that, or a little more of a splash of color if I'm going on a first date, because I'm wanting to incite a little bit more of that of those like emotional sides of things, more of that. It's like adorning yourself like a ripe fruit almost. That's why women wear makeup. That's why you know people dress in certain ways, in certain colors, and utilize certain things in you know what is the best way to say it? The dating sphere, the dating world, whatever. Um, and then like in a job interview, something like that, I want to purport more professionalism, uh, but also trustworthiness. So black isn't necessarily the way to go entirely in a job interview setting. You want to look professional, you don't want to look overt, but you also don't want to look bland or untrustworthy, right? Blue is a color that psychologically, on average, inspires trust in people. That's why politicians wear blue ties during debates. Even Republicans, like look at those debates. They're all wearing blue ties. Blue inspires trust. So I might wear a blue shirt with a navy blue or black suit, and maybe like if I wore ties, something not black, right? So the context is very important when you're talking about the clothes that people wear. But if you're talking about just the clothes that they averagely wear, right? Like I don't even try at this point. It's just what I do. I'll wear black jeans most of the time, dark blue jeans. So again, going back to the color palette, my color palette revolves around an emotionally reserved, neutral kind of person, low key. Um, but I will also tend to wear button-up shirts, and that's just I prefer those. I feel more comfortable in those than like t-shirts. I'm wearing a t-shirt today because it's getting warmer, right? Um, so basically, what my general aesthetic purports is a casual professionalism. That's the idea behind it. So someone who purports casual professionalism that conforms to a certain profile. It's not necessarily that they need to be professional, but they want to seem that way in a casual setting. So this is a person who has some reliance upon structures, right? But also, I'll tend to wear. I'm not wearing this right now because it's getting too hot, but I'll wear usually suit jackets or blazers, right? Um, with this sort of look, and I'll pop the collar. Now, the popping of the collar, one being inspired by my love of Sherlock, but also it's the suit jacket and the shirt. It's all a reliance upon structure, right? The structures of the society that exists. These are the formal. These are elements of formal attire. That's a structure. But I'm breaking the structure by popping the collar or not tucking the shirt in, right? So that shows if you were to map that on the Big Five personality test, like my personality traits, that would show a relatively high degree of conscientiousness because there's a reliance on the structure, but also a high degree of openness because I'm breaking that structure to a degree. So politically, this person would fall on the centrist end of the spectrum, and um, and probably be a relatively intelligent, pretty creative person, but who also respects systems that already exist, but isn't afraid to try and expand systems, right? Rather than someone who is overly reliant upon systems or someone who just wants to break all systems and start over, right? And that's a pretty decent reflection of me. I'm using myself as an example, but I've been able to do this with a lot of other people that I've observed, based off of the sort of clothes that they wear, what sort of personality they fall into. Um, so, like for my Big Five test score, I scored 98% openness and 82% conscientious. And politically, I'm apolitical, but but as far as like what I do think about politics, when I do think about it on the rare occasions that I do, I'm a left leaning centrist. So so yeah. But that being said, so like the main things you have to look out for is what's the general aesthetic purporting, and this is relatively intuitive because we all live in the societies that we live in, and we have an idea of what different aesthetics purport. So you just have to figure out how a person's general aesthetic fits into that. Pay attention to the context, because that will determine how much you have, how what sort of things you're observing. Um, and I'm being distracted because I'm getting text alerts that I'm going on forever. So I'll try and wrap this up. Um, color, color tells a bit about emotional elements of the person and their social elements. And yes, those are the big things. But I've droned on long enough about this question. Um, as a part of the universe, a little mid-sized galaxy is at the end of neuron, perhaps a glial cell. We are all connected. Okay. Jordan, are you a misanthropic bro? Uh, depends on the day. Try not to be misanthropic, misotheistic. Just a lot of anger and frustration. I think Jordan is just a reluctant cynic. Yeah, I try and be an idealist. So we're going to mention the mannequin in the background. Oh, and the middle finger. Um, this is my house, but it's also my mom's studio. So there's a bunch of painting shit in here. And like just on my, I use this house as part of my mind palace, and this section of my mind palace it contains my deduction checklist. So I go through my house, and this reminds me of all the things that I need to look for when I'm profiling a person. So right over there, I've arranged the things for. So the middle finger hand mannequin, as far as the mind palace goes, that is to remind me, okay, determine the dominant hand. The mannequin is for activity level, and the other one is for approximate age. I don't even know what that thing is. It's just there. It's just a peg. Um, but like the function of the middle finger right there is actually to hold my keys. So that's where I put my keys every day. How much time do you spend on education training? On deduction training when you started? Not enough. Not enough to be honest. Um, I'd like to see Jordan gamble. One of these days, I'm gonna go to Vegas and I'm gonna get kicked out of every single casino. Rip my kneecaps. What do you think about people getting herpes? Jordan, fun times. Oh, God. How do I keep myself away from distractions? I don't actually. Um, okay, that's a lie. So this fucking thing is the biggest distraction in my life. Just is what it is. I'm no longer in a romantic relationship, to my chagrin. So that has both become less of a distraction and more of a distraction at the same time. One, I don't have to worry about my particular relationship with this one individual. You know, I would like, but and then there's the other aspect of, oh, well, there are other women out there, right? And they can now distract me since I'm not focused on one particular woman, right? So that's a distraction sometimes. Pretty women, very difficult to read. Uh, but the phone is the biggest distraction, because you know it's very easy, especially as a socially awkward individual or slightly socially anxious person. I would used to be a lot more socially anxious, but still, there's that element of like, oh, do I want to stand around and look at people, or do I want to pretend like I'm actually doing something on my phone, or do I want to play a puzzle game on my phone and pass the time, or something like that? So what I've been doing is instead of putting my phone in my pocket, I put my phone in my backpack. And I carry my backpack everywhere. You know, it's just like I'm lost without that goddamn backpack. Like if I had to go and leave, like if I had to just pack up my shit and leave right now, I could just grab my passport and take my backpack, and I would be good to go. Like, I don't need anything else. Obviously, I don't keep my passport in my backpack. That's the one thing I have to go and get. But like, other than that, I keep deodorant in my backpack. I keep my laptop there. I keep the book that I'm reading, whatever book I'm reading, my notebooks, writing utensils, spare change of clothes. I keep everything that I need. First aid supplies, even. I keep it all in my backpack. Like, I'm. So I'm putting my phone in the backpack, and that's been helping eliminate some distractions. Would you say the ability to create mental images and manipulate them could be improved? I know IQ tests focus on mental rotation, which kind of raises red flags as IQ is fixed. Um, well, IQ tests are also measuring various aspects of your IQ. So there's like your visual spatial awareness, and how that factors into your IQ. So like, you can have a high IQ and just not be very visually inclined, but you can be more linguistically inclined, and that's where the majority of your IQ points comes in. But I have a lot of personal work on improving my ability to visualize things and to manipulate images, and I've gotten better at it over the years of practice. So I think you can do it. Jordan sees red shoes once. They wear their emotions on their sleeves. No, they wear their emotions on their feet. Obviously, you weren't listening. If I were to be a good observer, then I would need to be unseen or very obvious yet seemingly oblivious. I would be concerned that my deductions would be tainted by my emotion, therefore my recall. I don't even know where to begin with that. If you're talking about, feeling awkward about watching people, the best thing to do is to, like, if I'm like, say that you're here in this room sitting right there and I'm having a conversation with you, and let's say this is a crowded room filled with people. Maybe there's a person sitting right there and a person sitting right there, and like some people standing over there talking. Like, I'm talking to you, right? And I'm gonna look at that person, I'm gonna look at their shoes, and I'm gonna still keep on talking. I'm gonna look at that person, I'm gonna look back at you, make eye contact, nod a bit, look over there. I'm getting a feel for who's in the room. I'm just unconscious at this point. I'm not even thinking about looking at other people. I just am, right? And I'm absorbing information. If I'm just by myself, reading a book, having a cup of tea or something at a cafe, I'm gonna look around, right? But if I'm picking a person specifically, I'm gonna try and make some deductions about that person. I'm not gonna stare at them. I'm gonna take a glance at them, look at them up and down for a few seconds, then look away, think about it, you know, take a sip of tea or whatever, whatever I'm doing at the time, think about it, manipulate my mental image, and use that as my and make deductions based off of that. And as the mental image fades, I'll take a glance back at them, refresh the image, or if like I'm thinking, I need to know what their hands said about them, but I didn't get a good enough look at their hands. Well, they're still there. I can take a look, right? But also that ability to take a mental flash observation, that little mental snapshot, is helpful also if you're like passing somebody by and you want to make a profile about them. Like, you only have 2 seconds to see them. Make a snapshot, then make some deductions, right? Like, so that's all wrapped up into that. Smarter than sexy. When did that start? I can get smarter, increase my IQ, and fuck the bell curve. Smarter than sexy. I know that I am attracted to intelligence, and I'm usually, by that extension, attracted to women who are also attracted to intelligence. Do I find it sexy? Yes, I do. Do women find it sexy? Not sure. Um, at the end of the day, getting in shape is gonna make you sexier. That is what I have found. I lost 20 pounds over the course of the last couple months, it's done wonders. Because it gained a little bit after my ex-girlfriend broke up with me, and so gained a little bit, then got back into shape, and yeah, so it's been fun. Don't look behind you. God damn it, Sage. That's, ah! Sorry, it's a joke. But you really shouldn't look behind you. Can I observe while parkouring? You're probably going to be observing, I would imagine, the environment that you're. I would imagine your situational awareness while parkouring is going to be pretty high. Um, so, can you make a deductionist poker night thing? Whenever I go up and visit Logan from Observe in Montana, he and I will play a game of poker. I promise. Oh no, I said my support. Hope it was not a bad breakup. It was about as good as a breakup can be, I guess. I don't know. But appreciate the support. Do you think business and or government is corrupt? Yeah, obviously, but there's a certain amount of inescapable corruption in any system. Uh, Speaking of relationships, how can I tell if somebody likes me? I tend to overthink things. Oh God. Well, I mean, your IQ drops about 50 points whenever you are attracted to somebody. That's what I found. So I mean, there's that. So basically, you have this problem. You are distracted, and so your mental resources are limited. So you're thinking you need to think about it more, but then thinking about it more causes you to overthink it. And so it's like the self-serving cycle. Um, just getting more comfortable with talking to people you are attracted to um, will help you not have that initial shock of like I hate dating advice videos. Like God, there's nothing that makes me cringe more than the charisma videos or the dating videos or like how to use body language in dating. God, it's just kill me now. But so trying not to be that. If you just talk to people you're attracted to more, um, it'll just make you more comfortable in those sorts of situations. You won't get as much of a shock when you think somebody likes you or you like somebody, and it'll and if you're just a good observer, you'll notice the tells. I bet he keeps a map from Dora in his backpack. God damn it, you got me. Is this your way of dealing with the pain of breaking up? Uh, Hugs from Brazil. Hope you get better. It's been about 3 months. I should be over it by now, right? That's what they say. I was doing a public speaking thing. A stranger sat down. I instantly started sizing him up. God, was that distracting? Yeah, that's the funny thing. Deduction can be a distraction sometimes. I theorized that. Well, God damn it, I lost. Theorized that Jordan sees a pretty woman and lies to himself that he is seducing her, but really he's just smitten. I don't even lie to myself at this point. It's just like, oh, hi legs. I mean, eyes. I still can't control my snapshot. I know what you mean, but God. Do women find intelligence sexy? ... Don't know. Literally no way to find that out. Yeah, there is if you find a woman and then like you ask her. But I don't recommend that. Be a genius and a professional athlete at the same time, guys. That's the goal. That is the goal. Be Batman. Just Batman. I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman. As a woman, I can agree that there is no way. As a woman, yes, intelligence is very sexy. Awesome. Batman is a max level genius. Batman is. I've actually. Let me know what you guys think about this. I've wanted to do a video on Batman for a long time, explaining why he is conceptually the archetypal human being, and why people are so infatuated with the idea of Batman. It's like a series that I want to do on the psychology behind our obsession with various fictional characters. You look like Heath Ledger. Well, Heath Ledger was actually a pretty good looking man, so thank you. Ever had plans to shoot up your school? Nope. Don't think so. I love when I start reading a question because I haven't read the whole thing like in my head yet, and then I start reading and I realize, God damn it, I really shouldn't have read this because it's just I hate that. Nice shirt, bro. Yes, you can get them too. Links are in the description. The Art of Deduction merch. We have multiple shirts. In fact, I'm going to show you the other shirt. Be right back. Shameless plug time! So we have the classic Art of Deduction shirt. We have the old style Art of the gray one with the old logo, but that's you don't have to get that one. I don't recommend it. This one, good. Links in the description to my shirt merch store. Then there's this one, which is my personal favorite. This is actually a request from a viewer to make. It contains a quote from one of my old live streams. You said a bunch of really interesting things that makes me want to tell you why you're wrong. So then with a little picture of JoJo Deductionist here. And so these are the two main shirts that we have on the Spreadshirt. Is it Spreadshirt that we use? Yes, we use Spreadshirt. The Spreadshirt store. Be sure to get one of yours. Shameless plug is over. Help me pay my bills, please. Okay. Please do a door giveaway. What? I am attracted to your round head. Aw, thank you. That makes me feel so good. Hey there, Jordan. Remember me? So what I missed? Even if you don't, how's it going? Oh, you're the piano player. Yeah, I remember you. I think. It's been going well. Hope you've been doing well. Okay. Why is there a 2x4 in the back? It's not even a 2x4. This is a frame. This is a frame in 4 pieces. So ideally, you would put all 4 pieces together and then put a painting in there. Yeah? Ideally. You have to understand, this isn't just my house. It's also my mother's studio, and she's a painter. So, and this is the section of the house that she paints in. This room over here. Got some good arms, dude. I know. Reasons to live, you nailed it on the head. Good job. Oh, that was a sneeze that turned into a yawn that then turned into a sneeze again. And then I almost choked to death. Not doing too well, you guys. Okay. Being a wallflower, I find your channel most useful. Not that I could prevent any crime, but I would help for me to remain aware and vigilant. Many thanks and Godspeed. Cheers. It's Stu Batman. He is the world's greatest detective. Yes. I think he's been written poorly as a detective lately, unfortunately. I was going to do a video on Batman, more lines of my facts and frauds video, though. Oh, yeah, that would be fun. Who's gone? Start memeing what? Did I miss something? Oh, that's when I left to to get the shirt. Okay. You should do a video on Batman versus Sherlock Holmes in Deduction. Well, I want to do a video on while we're. Did you inherit any of your mother's painting ability? Yeah, I mean, learning how to draw was kind of obligatory. I'm trying to see if I can show you guys any. Right now, I do a lot of digital art. So I have a nice Huion tablet here and pen, and I do a lot of my drawing in Photoshop. I haven't painted anything in a very, very long time, but here, let me open up. Like all the artwork for the channel is stuff that I've done. Like I designed the logo, I've designed my character drawings over the years. This is a piece I did recently. I don't know if you get how well you guys can see it. But yeah, so unfortunately, with this way of doing live streams, I can't show you the screen. It used to be when YouTube did it a different way, you could like share the screen. I have to use OBS to do that now, and I'm just too lazy to use that. But yeah. Jordan, make me happy for once and make them all in the background. Dab, dance, something, please. That's about as close as he's going to get to a dab. There you go. I don't know why you guys are concerned about the spider on my shoulder. He's a friend. Cheers, and Angelina. I try and do good drawings. It's mainly a hobby for me. It helps me think. It's one of the things I like to do when I listen to podcasts or audiobooks or stuff like that is I'll draw. Yeah, sorry, Stefan. And I did really like what you produced. Um, there was a quality issue, obviously, that we never figured out how to fix, and then shit happened with my life, and it just sort of got put on the back burner. Everything about the channel got put on the back burner, so I'm sorry. know, the deal, the music deal. Sharing is caring. Can't do audiobooks myself. Do you prefer reading paper or on screen? I definitely prefer paper books. I'm a very tactile person. I like holding a book. I like the smell of a book. I like the feel of a page. Also, I take when I read, I'll take a pencil and I'll use the eraser end and I'll follow the words, so that helps with speed reading as well. When your eye tracks the movement of the pencil and reads the line, you can read it faster. Um, and that also serves a double purpose of I like to write in the book, right? I like to write my notes. I like to underline things. I'm just that kind of guy. So yeah, I like paper books, but for things that I'm interested in, but I need to get through quickly, and I need like a sort of low resolution, high view of it, like a bird's eye view of the concept, but not necessarily super high resolution. I'll listen to an audiobook at times to the speed to just like quickly digest that information, get the core concepts in. That's what I've used audiobooks for. I haven't done too much of that. That's sort of. Do I play Clash of Clans? No, I don't have the time for something like that. Nor have I really ever had the interest. I made a damn Fred the Frog edit for no reason. Do you feel obsessed with deduction? How does it feel to put so much effort into one thing? I feel like not to get super ostentatious about it, but it does feel like who I am. Like there have been times in my life where I've been like, oh fuck, I am done with this shit, and I try not to be a deductionist for a month, and everything in my life comes crashing down, and then all I'm left with is deduction. And like at the end of the day, I look at myself and I walk out of my door every morning. I wake up out of my bed, and I'm like, I am a deductionist. That's just what I am, regardless of It's just this is the way the cookie crumbled. For me, I had to put effort into it because the autism, the emotional literacy, all that I had to deal with. I needed to understand people better, and then I realized that I wanted to understand people better than anybody else. So like I can't really escape that. It's like it's something so deep down inside of me that I have a need for it. Even if I try and run away from that, it always comes back. Always. Joe, my clan bro, we need to predict the opponent's war strategy. It's a good man. We'll get it caught offline. Yeah, just send me an email. Good night, Ember. Hope everything goes well. Bro, freaking play Clash of Clans before I wreck you. Okay, you can try. That would be tremendously ambitious of you, but you're welcome to it. Jordan, I'm not in love with deduction. I am deduction. I didn't say that, but it's either that or I'm possessed by deduction. Let's put it that way. But on a serious note, bro, I appreciate your effort you put in for your skill and respect that you share with the world. Respect both ways. Respect you for all the support, and thank you. Wolf cat, not a fly, but a cat. And on that note, we're gonna close up this live stream. I have to wake up early tomorrow morning for work, so I'm gonna go to bed. It's been lovely chatting with all of you. It's been fun. Little time sink. 1 hour and 40 minutes. I'm gonna go to bed. Hope you all have a lovely rest of the evening. And until next time, arrivederci.